just wow. You know, when I was watching Sean McLean, Zero Nizarek's final video on the Transformers Generation 1 DVD set by Shop Factory. This video he did wasn't specifically targeted at talking about the DVD set itself. He had already done that. What he was talking about was a question a lot of people, including myself, have asked since the very first day this format, known as Blu-ray, came into existence. We were always asking the question, as soon as we started seeing a lot of series, animated live action, as soon as we started seeing a lot of these animated live action series getting Blu-ray releases, we always kept asking ourselves, could Transformers Generation 1 be put on Blu-ray? Now, Sean McLean, through various videos, including some that he's done straight to me, and several others, has basically come out and said that unless the work prints that the show was originally done on, before being edited and put together and all that on standard tape if you will, standard broadcast tape, that if the work prints, the actual work prints in which these were made on, these kind of shows were made on, like let's say Jem, Heathcliff, and My Little Pony, and even Chip and Dale and Galaxy Rangers and Inhumanoids, if the actual work prints still existed in some way, then it would be possible. If the actual work prints existed to the point that they were exactly the same as what you saw on the standard broadcast tapes, in which the finalized version of these shows were put on and aired from, then it would be possible. To me, if there's any likely candidates, in my opinion, any likely candidates out there that would have very good work prints still in existence, work prints that are actually similar, if not the same, as what was put onto the broadcast master tapes, the two likely candidates, in my opinion, would be Disney and Warner Brothers. Those would be the two likely candidates, in my opinion. Everybody else, like Hasbro, the people behind Heathcliff, like Dick Entertainment, Cookie Jar Entertainment, and anybody else, like Hasbro, Filmation, and all that, maybe not so much. But the two other likely candidates, they said, like I said, in my opinion, they would probably have actual work prints, very well done work prints, stored away and everything, in very good condition, and were similar, if not a little different, but similar to what was put on the broadcast master tapes, would be Disney and Warner Brothers. But with that being said, a lot of people have always wondered, how many, I mentioned this in one video I did, like, how can, when I answered the question that a lot of people have asked, how can cartoons of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even early 2000s be put on Blu-ray? How can they be put on Blu-ray how can they be put on a Blu-ray disc? And like I said, and the same thing Sean McLean, Zero Nizarak has said, and some others have said as well, the only way shows like that can be put on Blu-ray is not through a high-definition transfer. Pretty much, if you go on YouTube, there are people that talk about how bad a high-definition transfer of a show from the 80s, 70s, and even early 90s, how bad that can be. How bad that can actually be, because of the fact that sometimes the show is not meant to be high, is not meant to be transferred into high definition, unless the work print is good. A recent example of that, of course, is Dragon Ball. If you don't believe me, check on YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the only real legitimate way shows like this, as I mentioned in my video, and Zara Nizarak will say the same thing, and anybody else would say the same thing. The only way shows like this in front of you, maybe with the exception of this, but the only way shows like Gem, Heathcliff, Pony, Rescue Rangers, unless Disney was to use work prints on them, good work prints, but Rescue Rangers and any other Disney afternoon show, Galaxy Rangers and Humanoids, the only real legitimate way they would be released on Blu-ray is just to transfer the DVD transfers, the standard DVD transfers, onto Blu-ray and up the bit rate a bit, and that's it. You know, just basically take what's already on the DVDs and plaster them onto a Blu-ray, and that's it. And like I say, just like I say, to quote Zara Nizarak, just up the bit rate a bit. That's all. But with that being said, a lot of people ask the question, how many episodes can fit on a Blu-ray? How many episodes of a show like any one of these can fit on a Blu-ray? Or how many Blu-rays basically would it take? How many Blu-rays would it take for a show like this to be released? For shows like this to be released on Blu-ray, even in standard definition, how many Blu-rays would it take? How many Blu-rays? You ask. How many Blu-rays? Well, seeing as though I answered the question of how these shows would be put on Blu-ray, and even Zara Nizarak would say the same thing. Even Sean McLean would say the same thing, along with other people. Like some of the people he talks with at a Saturday Night Insanity live stream. Basically, basically they would tell you the same thing I told you in that video. But going back to the question, and you see the title down below, to get to the point here, how many Blu-rays would it take for any one of these shows to be put on Blu-ray, even with the standard DVD transfers just being transferred over to Blu-ray, just being transferred over to the Blu-ray and having the bit rate up to it? How many Blu-rays would it take? Well, believe it or not, for a lot of these, it would take only one. I'm not lying. I am not lying, folks. I'll tell you why. I recently watched a video from a German YouTuber, 80s person, 80s kid like I was, obviously, called, and his YouTube page is Ducky RPG, I think. Ducky RPG. I'll provide the link down below if I can find it, along with the video I saw of him doing a unboxing, package opening of Blu-rays he got. But when I saw these Blu-rays that he got of all these 80s shows, from Galaxy Rangers to He-Man and She-Ra, to a She-Ra Blu-ray, to a He-Man Blu-ray, to a Brave Star Blu-ray, what surprised me is a lot of these Blu-rays were only one Blu-ray. That's it. The entire series, if not the entire season, was released on one Blu-ray. There was no double Blu-rays. So to answer your question, from watching that video, from what I saw there, it would take only one Blu-ray to release an entire series. I'm not lying. You take a look at Gem here, 65 episode season. It is 10 discs actually with the episodes, 10 discs with the episodes, and bonus disc with features. And it would obviously take, from what I saw in there, just one Blu-ray for the entire series of Gem to be released. That's right. You would be holding, this is the Anastasia Blu-ray, but you would be holding the entire series of Gem in your hand, just like this, according to what I saw on that video. The same thing with Galaxy Rangers. You'd be getting the same thing with Galaxy Rangers. One Blu-ray, and that's it. Now, it also depends on how big the series is, how long it runs for, and how many episodes. Now, it all depends on how big the series is, though, and how many seasons it runs for, and such. And in that case, sometimes a series will take more than just one Blu-ray. And from what I've seen, a series like Transformers Generation 1, Transformers G1, would be like this. A 2-disc set. Maybe 3 discs, maybe a 3rd disc for bonus features, but on the main front of it, for the entire series, minus the bonus features, it'd be a 2-disc set. And that's it. 2-disc set. You'd be literally holding the entire Transformers G1 series in your hand. Now, if Disney adopted the same method and took a series like, say, Darkwing Duck, which was 91 episodes according to one person, then this would be the same way. You'd be having Darkwing Duck, the entire Darkwing Duck series, in the palm of your hands, just like that. So again, it all depends on how many episodes are made, how long the series ran for, and basically that will decide how many Blu-rays get released. It does. It really does. That will decide how many Blu-rays get released. You take a look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Here. This is a 49-episode first season. Now you might say, well, how many episodes would he go? I mean, how many Blu-rays would he go with? Well, seeing here, you're probably looking at maybe 3 or 4 Blu-rays. You're looking at a 3 or 4 Blu-ray set of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Original series. The entire original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, this year, from the first season, second season, third season, fourth season, fifth season, whatever, all the way up to the 2006 finale season, you're probably looking at 3 or 4 Blu-rays for that, for the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Original Yu-Gi-Oh! Run before we started going, that took place before, that basically takes place before GX and Zil or whatever in 5Ds. You basically be looking at 3 to 4 Blu-rays for the entire this entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. 3 to 4 Blu-rays. And that's a surprise. You take a look at My Little Pony here. This is, of course, the Rhino release. And this is the entire first season. And depending on how many episodes the second season is and everything, you're probably, with My Little Pony, looking at the same thing as you would with Gem. Just a one Blu-ray release. That's it. A 1 Blu-ray release. Now you might say, okay, now going back to Yu-Gi-Oh! You might say, well, what about the Capsule Monsters? Well, Capsule Monsters is a part of the entire original Yu-Gi-Oh! Saga. So you're probably looking at that being part of the 3 or 4 discs. Well, 3 or 4 Blu-ray disc release, if that ever happens. But, like I said, it all depends. But basically, the only way but again, getting back to what I'm saying, it's all depending on how many episodes and how many seasons a show has and runs for. If a show runs for 10 years or something like that, 10 seasons, like let's say Friends did, or like Cheers did, or MASH, you're looking at a lot of Blu-rays. Probably, who knows how many Blu-rays with MASH. But the point is, a series like this, surprisingly, from what I saw on that video, would only take 1 or 2 Blu-rays. and Sean, Zara Nizarak, you heard me. Right. I'll even provide the link down below so you can see it yourself. But it would only take 1 to 2 Blu-rays. But again, it also depends on how many seasons, how many seasons the show runs for, and how many episodes it has altogether throughout those seasons. So with Transformers, like I said, you could be looking at a potential 2, maybe 3 disc set. That's it. 2 or 3 disc Blu-ray set. That's it. And that's just transferring the regular DVD transfers onto Blu-ray. Rescue Rangers, 65 episodes. Could be either one Blu-ray disc release, or 1 or 2 Blu-ray disc release. That's saying something. You take a look at Heathcliff here. Heathcliff ran for, 65 episodes or so, a little bit more, 68. You could be looking at a 1 Blu-ray release of it, or even a 2 disc Blu-ray release. But let's say if it's Mill Creek that has the rights to him right now, you'll probably be looking at a 1 Blu-ray disc release on Heathcliff. And that's surprising. I mean, imagine you're taking those 2, those 2 4-disc sets that Mill Creek's been doing, and it'll all be equaled up to this. That's it. All equaled up to that. And again, that's surprising to think something like Heathcliff, like this, along with but if you take the Mill Creek releases, you'd be looking at it, you'd be holding the entire series just like this. This would be it. This would be it. But again, when one thinks about it, it all depends on how many seasons a show runs for and how many episodes per season that are shown for that series. Now you take a look at something like Inhumanoids and you might say, how many Blu-rays? Obviously, 1 Blu-ray, that's it. 1 Blu-ray for a show like Inhumanoids or even Sonic Sat AM. Sonic Sat AM ran for 26 episodes, 2 seasons. You'd be looking at a possibility of looking at the entire Sonic Sat AM series on 1 disc, on 1 Blu-ray disc. 1 Blu-ray disc would have the entire Sonic Sat AM series, entire series. Same could be said for Underground. Same could be said for Underground and even Adventures. And even Sonic X could get the 1 disc treatment if they wanted to. But again, it all depends on how a studio, if that studio decides, hey, let's finally do Blu-ray releases of all these shows, it all depends on how they want to release them. Sometimes the studio might say, well, you know what? Those companies out in those other countries that are just, those distributors in those other countries that are putting a lot of these shows on Blu-ray and doing it just using 1 disc or two discs and all that. You know what? That's their way of doing it. We'll do it our way. We'll do it a little bit better. And you might have a company like, let's say, Mill Creek, or maybe Shout Factory that says, okay, they took something like Galaxy Rangers and put it on 1 Blu-ray. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to do 2 or 3 Blu-rays for it. And that would be the only difference if here in North America, overall, if a studio or a distributor like, say, Mill Creek or Shout Factory said, you know what, instead of doing what those people are doing in Germany or in the UK or wherever, let's do it a little bit better. Let's do it better, and instead of doing 1 Blu-ray release of the entire show, let's do a 2 or 3 Blu-ray release. And that could be a possibility too. That could be. That could be a possibility too. If you know what I mean, that could be a possibility. But again, that would be all dependent on whether or not a studio like Shout Factory or Mill Creek would finally decide to do a Blu-ray release of these shows by just transferring the episodes to Blu-ray from the DVD. Again, it would be all up to their decision. Even N-Circle Entertainment, that currently has the rights to Sonic, the Sonic series like Underground, Adventures, and Sat AM, it would be up to them. It would be up to them whether they want to go with a 1 or 2 Blu-ray release on the show. One Blu-ray, a 1 or 2 disc Blu-ray release of the shows. That would be it. That would be up to them. But from what I saw in those videos, right now, reality-wise, if they wanted, but from what I saw in those shows, and in that one video, I should say, and I'll provide a link down below so you guys can see it yourself. It's apparent that even if the North American distributors of all these shows that you see right here decided to do a better Blu-ray release, decided, hey, we're going to do a better Blu-ray release than these other countries, reality is, even if they decided to or not, reality-based is this. Obviously, it takes only one Blu-ray, a 50 gigabyte dual layer Blu-ray that is, to release an entire show on Blu-ray. It takes only one. Sometimes maybe 2, or even 3 or 4, depending on the sizes, depending on how many episodes were released for the series, and how many seasons that series ran for, and how many episodes per season were aired throughout, I should say. So basically, from what I've seen, it only takes one Blu-ray, maybe 2 Blu-rays, maybe 3, depending on the size of the show. But obviously, from what I've seen, an entire series like Galaxy Rangers, Rescue Rangers, My Little Pony, Heathcliff, Gem, Jason the World Warriors, 65 episode series runs would probably take, in reality, one Blu-ray to release the entire series. It would be a one Blu-ray release, one Blu-ray disc release. And as far as like Yu-Gi-Oh goes, and Darkwing Duck, and Transformers G1, you're looking at 2 or 3 Blu-ray release, or even 4 in the case of Yu-Gi-Oh. 4 Blu-ray release, 4 Blu-ray disc release of Yu-Gi-Oh. But as far as Transformers and Darkwing Duck, you'd be looking at something like a 2 Blu-ray disc release. But again, I'll provide the link down below. You guys can check it out yourself. Let me know what you guys think. How do you think North America would handle it? Do you think they would follow the same methods as our friends in Germany? Or do you think they would try to do a better release job? Try to up the ante, if you will. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below, and I'll talk to you all later. God bless. Take care.